Sadhguru, what are your views on homosexuality? Is it karmic? And can there be a redirection of the energy or a practice for those who are struggling with it?
I think most of the homosexuals of today are a product of a social situation rather than of any kind of physiological or any other inner need. Mostly they are a social outcome of a certain attitude. If you go by the ways of the nature, sexuality was implanted in your body fundamentally for the sake of reproduction. We are all here because of that. But if there was no pleasure attached to it, nobody would go for it. Nobody would go for it. It is a painful thing to deliver a child. So, nature decided to attach pleasure to it because without pleasure nobody would go for it. In spite of a little bit of pleasure attached to it, so many people are deciding not to go for it. They become smart. At a very young age, a lot of people are becoming very smart these days. They're able to see through the limitations of it and say, this is not for us. That's very smart actually, because they're able to think beyond their hormones. Hormone is a chemical process. It takes charge of you from inside, not from an outside. It's not an outside invasion, it's an inside invasion. Till you were 12, 13 years of age, everything was just fine with you. Suddenly, little bit of chemistry, and then you don't know what the hell is happening with you. Suddenly the whole head has become wonky. You can't think beyond it. It's happened, isn't it? So the moment hormones hijack your intelligence, then you start acting funny. And you act the whole world is revolving around your sexuality. There's nothing else to the world except sexuality. See, almost 90% of the artwork, literature, or any damn thing that's written or painted or sculpted is about sex, isn't it? Isn't it so? I don't know, I may not be right on the percentage. I think it's about 90%. Even if it's 75, I think it's a very distorted vision of life, isn't it? Yes? It's a very distorted vision of life, that one aspect of the physical takes up so much of human mind and consciousness is a very distorted perception of life. Now in that, what or whom you want to have to sex with has become another great identification. So when you talk about heterosexuality or homosexuality, you're just asking me with whom or what I should do. This thing that you call as sex. I don't care. All I know is, if your body and your consciousness and your mind is ruled by the simple hormonal changes that happen within you, you have a completely distorted perception of life. What is there to correct? What is there not to correct? If physiologically some certain needs have changed within a person, he could be helped, but most of it is social. I don't think one thing is better than the other. you being ruled by your sexual identification, either hetero or homo, is about the same thing. You're ruled by a simple aspect within you, which was created for a certain purpose, has become the most dominant factor in you. That itself is a distortion of life. Human beings were given, see, all the other animals, it was fixed for them. Only at certain times they have that awareness, rest of the time they're not even aware of their sexuality. With human beings, nature trusted your intelligence and believed that your intelligence will function beyond your hormones. But I think 90% of the humanity has failed nature, disappointed the Creator, because they have not allowed their intelligence to function beyond their hormones. Their hormones are more dominant than their intelligence. So what kind of sexual identity you take, it doesn't matter. You're identified with a few body parts. That's bad enough. Which body part? Doesn't matter, it's bad enough. If you must identify with body parts, I would say the best body part to be identified with would be brains. Not something else.